Good morning and welcome to the NT Daily for Tuesday, July 28th. I'm Erin. Today, one of our class favorites. I know we've talked about how I'm not supposed to have favorites, but News Tribune local government reporter Stephi Smith is joining me in the studio with a local government update. We'll break down what is happening around Jefferson City and city government and what residents should be watching for the next few weeks. And we have officially made it through more than 50 episodes without receiving a complaint. And honestly, I was beginning to wonder whether anyone was paying attention. But good news, we finally got one. So we'll address that along with Missouri's new utility law, progress on the Tanner Bridge replacement, rising gas prices, and some impressive and occasionally delicious entries at the Cole County Fair. So we are going to cut to my interview with Steffi. All right, I have the LeBron James of local government reporting in the studio today, although she does not like the attention, but we're going to do it anyways. Steffi Smith is here to give us the update on all things going on at the city of Jefferson and big projects and things that are delayed and things that are making people mad, myself included there. And so let's start with probably the biggest news that dropped at the end of last week that we didn't get a chance to cover on the NT Daily because it was kind of close to the end of the week last week, but the proposed shelter for 108 Adams, is it 108 Adams?
107.
Yeah, 107 Adams, they have decided to delay taking their plans to city council. That was planned for an upcoming August meeting. I think they were supposed to have their,
the official public hearing, and then the vote was supposed to be on August 3rd.
Yeah, so they delayed the public hearing. They've also pushed back the vote to October. Can you talk us through the steps here? Because it seems like Housing the Community Jefferson City came out with their own announcement, and what's the timeline here, and what happened at the end of last week?
Yeah, Housing the Community Jefferson City published on their website that they would be postponing they're asking the city council to postpone its vote from August 3rd to October 5th. And they said during that time we'll request a discussion with the city to determine the best path forward. And then they said that might mean moving to a different location. That might mean a completely different idea of what that shelter will look like. It could mean a lot of things, because I think that the location in particular, a lot of people were not happy with.
Well, a lot is maybe...
I guess the people who
capital property owners seem to be
before the Planning and Zoning Commission, which I think may have influenced a lot of that decision. Those people said that their location was their biggest problem with it. And then interestingly, the people who spoke in favor of it said that the location was the best part of it because it was just 2 blocks from the church and it's right next to the library. And so their reasoning was that the people are already there, and so then they would just have somewhere to go inside.
So the location seems to be kind of at the crux of this, center of this, the tension here in this conversation. But the next steps then will there be open meetings? Will there be stakeholder meetings from HCJC? Is that kind of what we plan? There will be more conversations with the city, essentially.
Yeah, I think that
what are the rumblings you've heard?
Is that they want to meet with people on the city council who are going to be voting, but then also obviously the people who work with other unhoused people and other nonprofits, so like building community bridges, and then also I think just a lot of people who live near that area or would live in maybe a new location. Yeah, I think that their goal, I think, is to have as many people kind of work with this so that they can't say like, oh, this came out of nowhere. All of a sudden, I live next to a homeless shelter. It's like, no, we want everyone to kind of know what's going on the whole time and not be a surprise.
Sounds like we have more people to have on the show between now and October is what I'm hearing from this. Yeah.
So yeah, I think that the reason that because this kind of came as a surprise to me, at least, I thought that they would just go before the city council. From what I've heard from some people on the Planning and Zoning Commission is that they think that not as many people on the city council would have voted in favor of this. So they're saying, we're just gonna take a step back and work with the council to try and get those votes so that we can get something.
In capital speak, we would say they whipped the votes, and I don't think they had the count to bring it to a full vote, it sounds like.
I don't know what that means because they don't say that at City Hall. They say quorum and other things, but they don't say
all these technical jargon. Okay, well, it sounds like I will, of course, share another segment about HCJC during this segment of the NT Daily, but that's a great update from Steffi. Other things that have been looming on the agenda for City Council, they were going to have a really busy fall docket here, but now that this has been pushed back to later in the fall, they have the Ward 3 vacancy. Give us an update on where that stands.
Yeah. Also on August 3rd, they're still going to do this. They have not postponed this, but they're going to have a public hearing with the 2 individuals who were nominated to the Ward 3 spot. That would be Susan Cook. She's executive director of River City Habitat for Humanity, and Hal Dooley, who is he's a war veteran, and then also I think a veterans advocate in Jefferson City. And so either of them, depending on how the council votes, could serve in the Ward 3 spot. And people will have an opportunity, on August 3rd to ask questions to those 2.
And that's during the City Council meeting, or is this separate?
It will be during.
So is this the only thing the only piece of business on the August 3rd docket then?
I don't believe so. I believe that August 3rd, but it will be at the beginning of the meeting.
Okay.
Usually if they have something that is kind of like that, they try to push it at the beginning so you don't have to sit through
the whole thing.
Meeting.
That's nice. We'll keep an eye on that and keep everybody updated on how that public forum will go. But we have 2 more things. One is coming up on us. So we've talked about how throughout the summer, really since the late spring, the city was hosting weekly meetings about the capital improvement sales tax that will be in front of Jefferson City, so City of Jefferson, Cole County voters on the August ballot. Talk a little bit about just the process there. I think there is a campaign website if you need to visit it. ImproveJeffCity.com, right?
Yes.
Is the campaign website for the capital improvement sales tax, but talk a little bit about the process.
Yeah, the half-cent capital improvement sales tax. If you live in Cole County, you might feel like you've already voted on this,
yes,
but that is a separate sales tax.
Yes.
This one is just for Jefferson City. It goes toward a lot of the same projects like roads and infrastructure maintenance, and as you said, Improve Jeff City is where people can find out, they can see examples of those projects. I know the extension of Wildwood Drive is one that the city tends to point to as like a really big project. And interestingly, the mayor said that he doesn't have any real concerns about people supporting the tax, but noted that this Proposition 1 will be at the very bottom of ballots on August 4th. And so you're voting, you will have quite a few county and state offices to look at, some amendments, and then at the very bottom, you want to make sure that you're voting on everything.
Still paying attention on Proposition 1. Yeah. So Blake and I have to vote absentee because we're not going to be here next week. But so we were going to do a little like vote along with us thing, but we won't actually see Proposition 1 on our ballots because we are not City of Jefferson. Yeah, we're outside of the city limits. But we do want to note that for all of you city residents that will be voting on that. And if you have questions, you can go see ImproveJeffCity.com. And one last thing, we have been talking to the city staff about doing a tour of the new River Market before it opens. Steffi and I are going to be there soon. We've been getting kind of weekly updates from the city team on where they're at, and I think Steffi has already toured it, correct?
Yeah,
but yeah,
I don't know, it was pretty bare bones right now. But if you go to jcparks.com/facility, you'll find a list of a bunch of facilities, and the farmers market should be at the top. It says that they're expecting it to be open by at least fall 2026, and it says there will be a farmers market. And then I know parks people have said that they want to get pretty creative with what goes there. So community garage sales was one idea, a teddy bear picnic, all kinds of like fun stuff for that. It's a really big pavilion.
Absolutely. And the pictures that they sent us, it looks like it's going to be a great community gathering spot.
Yeah, and they have it connected also to the state office. I believe it's the DNR office, and they're going to have a trail running, so you can really get all over Jeff City from there.
It's connecting east to central downtown, I think, right? Yeah. So Steffi and I will stay on top of it. We will do a tour here soon. We'll show you all of the amenities that will be down there, and that will be fun. So we'll look towards that towards the end of the month, hopefully. Thank you for being in the studio for another city update. When is the next city council meeting? August 3rd? Monday?
Yes, August 3rd.
I will not be here. So we're going to have to depend on Amanda to have Steffi back in the studio next week.
It'll be fun.
Thank you again. And we will be right back with a word from one of our sponsors. Today's NT Daily is brought to you in part by MU Healthcare. If you are looking for advanced heart care close to home, MU Healthcare offers the region's most comprehensive cardiovascular services and is accepting new patients in Columbia and Jefferson City. From preventative heart screenings and diagnostic testing to leading-edge care for complex conditions, you can find the support and expertise you need. Call 573-88-HEART to schedule an appointment today or visit muhealth.org/heartcare now to learn more. And now I'm going to address our first complaint that I am aware of since starting the show. And I actually meant to do like a milestone where we celebrated 50 episodes, and it completely passed me by. And then I realized that I got a phone call this morning that was upset with something that I said on the show on Monday. I will not, this person did not give me permission to talk about our conversation, so I will give them anonymity, but there seemed to be a problem with how I characterized the Planning and Zoning Commission's involvement in the Housing the Community Jefferson City's proposal for 107 Adams Street. I do not feel at this time that I need to retract anything I said, because I looked up the transcript and it says that I put it this way. The Planning and Zoning Commission ultimately recommended denying the rezoning request. What the Planning and Zoning Commission did was gave a negative recommendation. So I feel like recommending denying and negative recommendation are synonymous. We can argue about that. The English language is full of things that we can argue about. Don't really feel like it needs a retraction. If it feels like you felt like I was not putting forth all of the information, you can go back and watch Monday's episode. Ultimately, the Planning and Zoning Commission put forward a negative recommendation on HCJC's proposal to rezone the property at 107 Adams so that they could purchase it to the city council. So it was a negative recommendation. That is what happened. I also want to clarify, I've tried to be very clear on the show. I am hosting a morning show. I report on things that our reporters write about. I try to be clear about when I'm reporting on something from an article or something that a reporter is stating as fact, and when myself, Erin, is editorializing. I was accused of being flippant, which is not an accusation that I'm taking lightly. What I try to do on this show is make issues more accessible to those who are not down in the weeds on them every day. So sometimes I tend to try to bring them up at a higher level than what a normal person who's either an advocate or a detractor on one side of the issue, how they would talk about it. I do not try to be flippant. I think that my husband would actually tell you that it is quite the opposite at our house. I probably am far too serious about things than I need to be. But I guess maybe in an effort to try to make issues more accessible, try to use humor. Most of the time I try to make that humor self-deprecating. Obviously, I am critical or try to talk at a level of, candor about the city. And so I suppose that you could say that if I'm being critical of the city in a way that's trying to be entertaining, it could come off that way. I could see how it could be taken that way. It is truly just to try to make these issues that some people live in day to day more accessible to other people. So I will try to be more careful about that. But again, at this time, I do not think that I have taken an issue and mischaracterized it or misspoken anyway. After I went back and looked at the transcript, I do not feel like I have mischaracterized what the Planning and Zoning Commission did. So we will move on from there. Obviously, this issue is being drawn out and we'll continue to talk about it, and I think I'll probably have more to say on it other than today, but Erin's trying to get in vacation mode, so we're going to let this rest for a few days. I have been taught that to not talk on things when you're really hot about them, so I'm going to let this sit, and then we're going to come back to it after I've maybe had some vacation days off. But now let's talk about something almost everybody agrees on. Nobody wants a higher electric bill, at least not any of the folks that I've ever talked to. But News Tribune reporter Matthew McFarland took an in-depth look at Missouri Senate Bill 4, the law that state officials frequently point to when asked whether the growth of massive data centers will drive up their utility and power bills. At the center of the law are large load tariffs for major energy users. Under those tariffs, data centers generally must sign contracts lasting at least 12 years. They are responsible for at least 80% of the power capacity they reserve, even when they use less, and they must pay additional costs if utilities have to import energy to meet their large load user demand. Supporters say those requirements prevent regular customers from being stuck with a bill if a data center closes or uses less energy than expected. But critics and consumer watchdog groups remain skeptical. They say that tariffs may cover the direct cost of serving a data center, but it is unclear whether they will fully cover the broader cost of building new generation and expanding grid capacity to pay for large load users. Erin is also pursuing a separate rate increase that could add approximately $13 per month to an average customer's bill beginning in mid-2027. Erin says the large load rates will save other customers a combined $21.2 million. So the real test of Senate Bill 4 will not be what lawmakers or utilities call it. It will eventually be what shows up on your power bill. At the end of the day, I think consumers are probably essentially going to have the last say on how Senate Bill 4 protects them. If you live near Wardsville, you may be more excited about this update than anything happening with the High Street Viaduct. The replacement of the Tanner Bridge over the Moro River remains on track to finish by the end of the year, despite a very rainy spring. Crews have completed much of the road grading and are now working on the bridge abutments and supports. The project will also straighten a narrow stretch of road between the bridge and Route B and raise the road south of the bridge out of the Moro River floodplain. That should help prevent residents from becoming isolated when the river backs up and we have flooding. The bridge replacement itself is expected to cost approximately $2.1 million. Grants will cover most of that, leaving Cole County responsible for only about $70,000 for a bridge project of this size and this amount of time. That is a remarkably small local price tag. This episode is also brought to you by our friends at Hen House Fresh Foods, your local market at 1904 Southwest Boulevard. Today is the final day to take advantage of this week's specials before they turn over. You can get those boneless pork loins for $1.79 a pound. Pork chops, country-style ribs are $1.99 a pound. Chicken drumsticks and chicken thighs are $1.29 a pound. In the produce aisle, you can also pick up seedless watermelons, blueberries, and avocados. You can find more deals at henhousefreshfoods.com or text henhouse 41570 for their weekly hot deals. Unfortunately, if you are one of those who has had to fill up your vehicle lately, I think all of us have probably been there this summer, Missouri's average gas price has now climbed to $3.86 per gallon. That is an increase of more than 19 cents in just 1 week. It's also about 31 cents higher than a month ago, and nearly $1 higher than where we were last year. The cheapest price in Missouri is $3.49 a gallon, and the most expensive is $4.69 a gallon. So there is a lot going on in the global oil market. We don't talk a lot about that news here, but a lot of other people do. Anyways, that means there is still a lot of tension on the global supply and demand, and doesn't look like prices are slowing down anytime soon. So keep us updated on what you are paying at the pump. We are keeping a close eye on it. Another friend of the NT Daily, South Bank Gift Company in downtown Jefferson City. Their progressive sidewalk sale is happening this week in downtown Jeff City. South Bank Gift Company is bringing the sale inside where it's nice and cool in the air conditioning. Beat the heat while you are shopping select clothing, accessories, home decor, candles, bath and body products, baby items, and seasonal merchandise may already be priced 50% off, and you can save even more. Additional discount that grows throughout the week, ending with an extra 50% off on Friday. So come shop the savings at our favorite downtown shop and see why there's never a better time to go see our friends at South Bank Gift Company. Finally, we're going to end on good news today. The Jefferson City JC's Cole County Fair is underway, and the 4-H exhibitions are proving that the fair involves much more than livestock. Young people from across Cole County submitted decorated cakes, floral arrangement, crocheted blankets, rock mosaics, and other projects for judging, and a chance to advance to the Missouri State Fair in August. 10-year-old Allison Brimmer of Wardsville entered 6 arts and craft projects and also participated in a horse knowledge competition. So it sounds like if I could learn something from 11-year-olds. 11-year-old Morgan Schrader of Russellville created a cake designed to look like a measuring tape, which is a tool that he regularly uses on his family farm. And because this is still a Missouri County Fair, there were also 180 hams and 120 bacon entries submitted for judging. That is quite the competition under one roof when you have floral and cakes and pork. So there you go. A lot happening over at the Cole County Fair this week. That is today for the NT Daily. Thank you to Stephi Smith for coming in today in the studio. Hopefully she will be around next week when I'm not around to give you another update on that August 3rd City Council meeting. Until tomorrow, this is the NT Daily, and we'll see you back here for Wednesday morning.